Hi guys, it is day 23 of Checkups with Dr. G. I hope everyone is doing all right. Um, see, today, guys, hi mom. Today, guys, we are talking about vaginal health and sex hygiene. Um, so I do have a few points that I may want to make sure that I hit on. And of course, as you guys have questions, hi Becca. As you guys have questions, I'll be more than happy to answer those questions for you as well. Um, so I don't like to wait around too long because I feel like that can look awkward sometimes. So I'll just go ahead and get started. So, vaginal health. So, the a topic came up on another post about some of the things that people um, are doing now, as far as like trying to promote the health of their vagina or help with dysfunction and all of that stuff, such as the yoni eggs and the steams and all of those things. And so I just wanted to, kind of talk about that. And since I touched on some of the female health issues and some of the male health issues, I did want to kind of touch on sex hygiene because they kind of go hand in hand. Um, Now, before I get started for real, I just want to make sure that I remind you guys that before doing any of those alternative methods such as eggs and steams and all of that, please make sure that you are checking with your healthcare providers, your gynecologists, especially if you're going to be doing like suppositories, which is basically putting things in the vagina. Please make sure that you are checking with your healthcare providers before doing those things. And be mindful that the vagina is a self cleaning organ. So you don't have to do a whole lot to it. Just mild soap and water on the outsides of it. But as far as if there are cases where a person has like bacterial infection or fungal infection, such as a yeast infection, then you may receive a suppository or something like that from your health provider to place into the vagina to help. I know that there are sometimes suppositories used for things like cervical dysplasia. And again, that's going to be done by a healthcare provider, or you're going to receive instruction from a healthcare provider. Now, am I saying that these things do not work as far as the steams and the eggs and all of that? I am not saying they don't work, because there are people that have used them that have had, great success with them. They've seen changes. But all I'm saying is that be mindful of what you're doing. Be mindful of where you are going to have these things done. Be mindful of, if you're gonna do a vaginal steam and use herbs, make sure that you are researching these herbs to see what they are for. Because you don't just want to be steaming yourself and you don't know what you're getting yourself into. And again, be mindful of where you're doing it. If you're doing it at a spa, please make sure that their areas are clean. If you're using the eggs or anything like that, please make sure that you are keeping those things clean and that you are following the instructions on keeping those things clean. Again, like I said, people have had success with them, but you want to be smart when you're doing that. Keeping in mind that if you are inserting things into the vagina, then you run the risk of disrupting the flora, which is like the bacteria in there, as well as the pH, which can put you at risk for infections. So please be mindful of those things. I would not put anything like alcohol or any drugs or anything in the vagina, because it is a mucous membrane area. And so you want to be mindful of the fact that it does absorb things. And so you don't want to put yourself at risk. There's been stories in the past of young ladies that have soaked tampons in alcohol and tried to insert them, and to get a quicker buzz, if you will, and it does not have the desired effect. First of all, that area is sensitive, so it can burn. And then on top of that, you want to be careful of how you're taking care of that area. Again, you don't want to disrupt the normal flora there, and you don't want to throw your pH off, because it can absolutely put you at risk for infections. Hi, Swoop. Oh, my little cousin. Sorry, guys. Um, so, again, the vagina is a self-cleaning organ. So, in caring for the vagina, you want to use, again, mild soap and water on the outside. You don't have to stick anything up there. Do not douche. I cannot express this enough. Do not douche. I know we heard about it growing up. I know the products are still out there. Do not douche, because douching is one of those things, again, that can throw off the pH in your vagina. And again, if I can't repeat it enough, it will put you at risk for. So do not douche. Just warm cloth, mild soap on the outside of the vagina. If you have discharge that is not normal, so most women will have some type of a discharge. It'll either be clear or a thin white discharge. It'll be clear or a thin white discharge. But if it starts to get, thick white, if it starts to become gray, yellow, green, and start to have an odor, you want to contact your healthcare provider. Don't try to go at it alone. Don't try to, do home remedies. Unless you are a healthcare provider, you know what you're doing, because again, you don't want to set yourself up for a worse position. There are some times where, you will be able to, again, use products for that area as your healthcare provider sees fit, but don't just go at it alone, because you don't want to make it worse. So when it comes to the vagina, you want to make sure that it's breathing, if you will, for lack of a better term. So you want to make sure that there's airflow, is what I'm saying, basically. So cotton underwear, or cotton lined underwear, because that's more breathable material. And the reason for that is you don't want a lot of sweating. You don't want a lot of moisture down in that area, because again, a breeding ground for bacteria. It's a dark area, and if you add moisture down there, you are creating a breeding ground for bacteria. So cotton lined underwear. I know everybody doesn't want to walk around in the big cotton granny panties, if you will, but cotton underwear or cotton lined underwear is appropriate. Also, if you want to wear no clothes at nighttime when you're sleeping, that's perfectly fine. Sleeping naked also helps to keep airflow in their area. It's okay not to wear underwear with jeans. So here's the thing. You don't want to wear too much tight clothing, because tight clothing can also create heat, cause you to sweat, and create a breeding ground for bacteria as well. And I'm like, I mean, that's fine. If you're not wearing underwear, honestly, it is going to, again, give more room for air to flow. And that's what you want. Yes, sleeping naked is actually a good practice for keeping airflow in the vagina or in the vaginal area. So, when you are using menstrual products such as tampons or pads, be sure that you are checking the labels. You want to be mindful of any chemicals that you are putting in or around the vagina, because again, you want to be it's an absorbent area, and you want to be mindful not to throw your pH off. So be mindful of the body roll. So be mindful of the products that you are using, making sure that you are paying attention to chemicals and all of those things. If you have access to cotton to cotton products, then that's going to be better for you. I know that some of the bigger lines are starting to advertise products that don't really have chemicals in them now. So you have to make sure that when you are checking your products, that either you're going for the cotton ones or as close as possible, at least ones that aren't scented. Please stay away from scented feminine hygiene products. Also, as we transition a little bit more, if you're going to use any kind of lubrication in the area, be mindful of what you are using. Again, you want to be careful of any perfumes and chemicals because the vagina is a sensitive area. This is just a little tidbit. Most grown people should know this, but I am going to throw it out here. This is no shame to you if you do not know this. This is for educational purposes. But please make sure that when you are wiping from the front to the back, meaning from the vagina area to your anus, not the other way around. Because if you're going the other way around, you are setting yourself up for having UTIs and infections because of the bacteria that is in your colon and anus area. No Bath and Body Works stuff either. So you can do Bath and Body Works stuff on your body. But when it comes to your vagina, please make sure it's mild soap, unscented mild soap, and just some warm water. Oh my goodness. Yes, organic everything. Yes, it definitely helps. And it's, again, you're reducing the amount of chemical load on your body when you are not using things with a whole lot of chemicals and products. Another little housekeeping rule for the vagina or the vaginal area is do Kegels exercises. Some of us have heard about Kegels exercises and we talk about it in the terms of sex, but it also helps to strengthen the pelvic floor. So people that have children, your having children has been shown to create or diminish the tone in the pelvic floor muscles. So what you want to do is, just like I explained on the male video, if you watched it, if not, you're going to squeeze the muscles as if you are holding your urine or you're holding your bowel movement, and hold it for a little while and then release. So you're going to squeeze and then release. And so those are the Kegels exercises to try to strengthen. It helps strengthen the pelvic floor. It can actually help with some of the discomfort when it comes to menstrual cycles as well. So making sure that you are doing those exercises. I know some people will use the yoni eggs and things like that to kind of help facilitate that. But again, if you're going to use the eggs or the Benoit balls or whatever you're going to use, please make sure you are cleaning them properly and that you are mindful of where you're getting them from and what you are putting in your body. Dove soap. So Dove, I would say Dove is a good mild soap. I would do, again, the unscented Dove soap or sensitive Dove soap. Just anything that's mild. So definitely nothing heavily perfumed. I think Caress is probably kind of, if people still use that, it's kind of perfumed. Soaps like bar soaps are going to be better than body washes when it comes to that. There tends to be a little bit more going on as far as chemicals and all of that with body washes themselves. And so bar soaps are going to be better. So Dove is a good one. Again, unscented. And I think, yeah, Dove sensitive is unscented. So, or natural soaps. If you can find natural soaps, those can be beneficial as well. And again, making sure that you're getting air to the area, making sure that, again, when you're cleaning, clean the outside. Do not stick anything up there. Don't stick your towel up there. And we recommend using a towel and not a loofah because a loofah can create minor cuts in the area or abrasions in the area, which again can put you at risk for infections, especially if you're like sweating and all of that down there. So just making sure that you are mindful of the fact that the vagina cleans itself. And if there is dysfunction, and so stuff you'll be looking out for is like, if there's signs of odor, the discharges I talked about earlier, yellow, green, gray, or thick white discharge. If there's swelling, itching, or burning in the area, you want to make sure that you're following up with your healthcare provider. So that they can give you the appropriate help or remedies or treatments for what is going on with you. So that's just a little bit on vaginal health in general. And guys, we want to make sure that we're taking care of our vaginas because they are important. They are not just important for sex, but they are a part of our bodies. If you have an infection in your vagina, that's still a part of you, and you want to make sure that you are healthy all over. The goal is wellness or wholeness, and wholeness includes your vaginal health. And there's you know, cancers that can happen in the vagina. There's infections that can happen in the vagina. There's STDs and STIs. So we want to make sure that as women that we are on top of our bodies. So please make sure that you are going to get your yearly checkups, getting your well woman exams. I think pap smears are every 3 years now. If your pap smears are clear, like there's nothing wrong with them, you do them every 3 years. But please make sure that you are getting your well woman exams. That includes the self breast exams. I know this is not about breasts, but please make sure that you are checking your breasts, doing the self breast exams monthly outside of your menstrual cycle. Don't do it while you're on your menstrual cycle because we have to stay on top of our health. There's lots of information, lots of articles and everything coming out now about the disparities or the differences between, the care that African American women are receiving versus other nationalities or other races. And so we want to make sure that we are on top of our health. We have to be advocates for ourselves. And so we want to make sure that we are doing our self breast exams and that we are making sure that our vaginal health is on point. So, thank you. So, thank you very much. So, sex hygiene. So, this part is not just for the ladies, it's for guys as well. If there are any guys still watching at this point. But when it comes to sex hygiene, you want to make sure that you are clean in the area before you jump right into it, especially the men. Before you jump into, bed with your wife, make sure that you are cleaning the area because you don't want to bring any bacteria or throw off her pH with what you have going on. So making sure that you gently cleanse the area before sex. If you cannot, definitely make sure you gently cleanse the area after sex. If you guys are doing any type of foreplay or anything that requires your hands, please make sure that you are washing your hands and your fingernails again because you don't want to introduce any new bacteria or throw off or introduce chemicals that can throw off the pH of the vagina. So just as we women want to take care of our vaginas, men, please make sure that you are caring for the women in your life in that area because you don't want to deal with, the repercussions, and she definitely doesn't. So making sure that you are caring for them in that way. So making sure that you're cleaning your hands, making sure that you gently cleanse the area, and that means no like hard scrubbing and stuff because again, you don't want to cause any cuts or abrasions in that area and put you at risk for something that you don't want. So making sure that you're cleaning hands, gently cleanse the area. Please make sure that you are getting checks for STDs and STIs on a regular basis, especially if you are very sexually active. Please make sure that you are going and getting checked on a regular basis. If you are switching from one partner to another partner, hey sis, if you're switching from one partner to another partner, like you broke up with somebody, now you're moving on, get checked. so that you are on top of your health and you're not passing anything on to anybody else. What about shaving? So, shaving. Um, Research says, as far as shaving, is that you should not shave. The reason for that, and I know women are going to be like, but the reason that research says to not shave is because the hair is there as a protective mechanism to prevent, bacteria and things from entering the vaginal canal and, entering, even the urinary tract and all of that stuff. So shaving, again, is, the research says don't do it because it protects you from getting bacterial infections, and it's just like eyelashes or nose hairs. It keeps the stuff that you don't want from getting in there, basically. But but if you are going to shave, please be mindful again of what we just talked about, making sure that you are keeping the area clean, making sure that you're keeping it breathable down there with the cotton line underwear, sleeping naked and things like that, just so that you are getting airflow to the area. And when you're taking a shower or a bath, making sure that you're keeping that area dry. Um, so, again, I know it is unpopular, but I am saying, if you're going to shave, be mindful, making sure you're cleaning, changing your razors regularly. If you're using products, again, be mindful of the chemicals in the products. Be mindful of the chemicals in the products that you are using. Um, so whatever that, if you decide to shave, just make sure that you're staying on top of your hygiene when you shave. Be mindful of the fact that, you could get ingrown hairs. If you're shaving against the grain, you might cause ingrown hairs. So make sure that you are staying on top of that. If you are waxing or going to get waxed or any of those things, please make sure that you are going to a facility that is clean. Look at their materials. See what they are doing. See what they're using. Are they double and triple dipping? Please make please make sure that you are checking behind or researching the people that you are going to. If you're at home waxing, making sure that you are using a clean method. Don't double and triple dip, with the same spatula or whatever. Making sure that you are just being sanitary with your practices. Um, my So just make sure whatever you choose to do that you are doing your best to practice it, to make sure that the practice are hygienic. The practices are hygienic. Again, shaving, making sure your razors are changed regularly. Just be mindful, guys, that you want to make sure that you're as healthy as possible in that area. So, yeah. Again, I know that's an unpopular opinion, but that's what the research is there for, to test our opinions. But as far as sex, again, making sure you're gently cleansing the area before sex. After sex, go ahead and make sure you gently cleanse the area, and also urinate after sex because it helps to wash out or prevent you from getting UTIs, because again, you can be introduced to bacteria from your mate. So making sure that you are urinating after sex to reduce the likelihood of UTIs. It is not going to keep you from getting pregnant. I'm going to say it one more time. Urinating after sex will not keep you from getting pregnant. Urinating after sex is there to help you to reduce the likelihood of UTI. So, just throwing that myth out. Don't worry about that myth anymore. It's not true. If it worked for you, that's great. But that is not what that practice is for. Just so you know. What kind of razor would you recommend? Honestly, either like sorry guys, I don't know what that was about. Either disposable razors or the kind, I want to say like the Venus kind. They have the kind that you can change the heads on them. So those, they're just ones that you can change out regularly. That's what I would do. Um, what did you? Somebody said something. Oh, sugaring. Yeah. So like the sugaring and shaving, sugaring and waxing lasts longer. And so it gives most people a more clean effect. But again, you want to be mindful of who you're going to and what their hygienic practices are. So back to sex hygiene a little bit. Use protection. Contrary to what most people believe, condoms are not just there to keep you from getting pregnant, they are there to keep you from getting diseases. So, STDs and STIs. If you guys did not know, some of the STDs or STIs now are starting to become more resistant to treatment. And so, we have to be extra careful. If you have multiple partners, please be sure that you are communicating with your partners. I know we like to be deceptive and we like to, have our fun, but in the best interest of your health as well as your partner's health, please make sure that you are communicating with your partners about about the fact that you are having sex with more than one person, so that if you run the risk of so that if you just so happen to pass off some kind of disease, they will know. And plus, depending on what the disease is, you will have to tell them anyway, because some diseases you can go to prison for if you're just passing it around and not speaking up and not telling people. Um, that is not what I said. I'm just saying. I'm saying if you are going to be out there, just make sure you're communicating that. Be open with your communication with the people that you are sleeping with or having sex with. Be mindful when you are having sex, be mindful of the order of the sexual acts that you are doing. For those that may do anal sex, please be mindful of the fact that you don't want to do that and then go into vaginal sex. Just like you don't want to wipe from back to front. Again, you run the risk of contaminating the vaginal area and causing infection. So please make sure that you are mindful of the order of the sexual acts that you are engaging in. Stay hydrated because sex is exercise, guys. Sex is good and it's good for you. It is exercise, it releases endorphins. And so you want to make sure that you are staying hydrated. So as you are sweating, you don't want to, get dehydrated and run into all kinds of things like passing out or any of that stuff. So please make sure the order of service. Please make sure that you are staying hydrated. Again, wearing cotton underwear. Men, that goes for you too. Wearing cotton underwear so that it's breathable. You want to make sure that you are getting airflow too, men. Because you don't want to you don't want your testicles to get too hot either. So, you don't want to kill off sperm or any of those things. So making sure that you guys, everybody is wearing cotton underwear and making sure that there's airflow in the area. If you guys are using any type of toys, please make sure, just like with yoni eggs or anything else, please make sure that you are cleaning them. Read the instructions, follow the instructions. Please make sure that you are cleaning them. There are products out there, I'm sure, that can be used to cleanse. Make sure that you are cleaning them. Be mindful of the chemicals or the ingredients or the makeup of the toys. If you are allergic to latex, please make sure you're not going out there and getting toys or things that have latex in them. Be mindful of these types of things when you are going out and purchasing these things. Again, if you are using some type of lubrication, Be mindful of the chemicals that are in the lubrication. Do not use glycerin because glycerin is just like sugar and you will set yourself up for an infection. So please make sure that you are not using glycerin. Um, Natural oils can be okay. Um, just making sure that you're, like I said, look at the ingredients. You don't, just like for most women, especially African American women, when we're going natural, we try to stay away from parabens and alcohols and sulfates and all of that stuff for our hair. It's going to be the same down there, guys. So make sure that you are checking the products that you're using. If you're using edible things, check them and be careful because edible things are usually like have chemicals or sugar or something in them that are going to run the risk of causing infection. So be careful, making sure that you are cleansing that area thoroughly on the outside. Again, the vagina can clean herself. Making sure that you're cleaning on the outside and just be careful with what you're doing. I know there's a lot of talk out there about 1,000,010 things that you can do to increase your pleasure and do all of this stuff, but be mindful of the hygiene of the things that you are doing. Because again, you don't want to set yourself up for infection. And guys, her having an infection doesn't just affect her, it affects you because you can't have sex with her while she has an infection. And if you do, you can get infection too. You don't want to have sex with her when she has a yeast infection because you can get it too. So helping her to stay on top of that from your end, making sure your hands are clean, making sure that you are cleaning your penis, making sure that you're mindful of what you are doing is going to be helpful. And women, of course, we need to stay on top of our own bodies, making sure we are staying clean, making sure there's airflow and doing all of those things. Again, tight clothing we want to try to avoid as well because of the risk of sweating and creating a breeding ground for bacteria. So that's pretty much all I had to say from my notes. Do you guys have, oh my goodness, I say only physical activity I do. Well, it is exercise. So I will emphasize that again. It is exercise. Um, it does release endorphins. Endorphins are little chemicals in your body. I call them happy chemicals. They're like little feel good chemicals in your body. You can get endorphins released from sex, from chocolate, from exercise. A lot of times runners, they become like more so addicted to running because they start getting those endorphins released. It makes you feel good. So it is important. Yes, men can get infections. If she has a yeast infection and you are, you know, going to town down there, guys, be mindful of the fact that you can be impacted by that. So be careful, especially STDs and STIs. Of course, we know those because they are sexually transmitted. So be careful with what you're doing. Again, communicate with your partners. Do you guys have any questions for me about anything that I said? Again, I know this topic is, not one that everybody wants to hear have their kids hear or anything like that, but it's necessary to have these conversations because especially for those of us that, grew up in backgrounds where it's not something we really talk about, it's necessary to talk about these things because we want to make sure that we are on top of our health. Oh yes, it's my pleasure. I'm glad to provide information to you all. Are there any other questions today? Any comments, concerns, any pressing issues that anybody has? And thank you guys for being on. Let me just say that. I appreciate the questions. The comments are hilarious. Thank you for those as well. I try not to laugh too much because I wanted to make sure that I got the information out. But thank you guys for being on. Thank you for engaging with me. And thank you guys so much for going on this 30-day experience with me. For those of you that really know me, you know that this has been a journey. I like to be in the background. So being in the foreground and really putting my face out there is brand new territory for me. So I thank you guys for all of your support and liking and loving the videos, sharing them, for just being there as support. Um, Mama. Uh, so yeah, guys. If you are experiencing any type of dysfunction vaginally, or if you're a man, experience penile dysfunction, I'm not talking about erectile dysfunction. I mean, like you're having some type of discharge, burning, itching, or any of those things. Please make sure you are contacting your healthcare providers. It's going to be necessary for your health, and again, the health of those that you are sleeping with, for you to go ahead and get checked out. So, yes, I don't see any questions right now. So, I do hope that this information was helpful to at least somebody. Um, and guys, I will be back tomorrow. Tomorrow is Saturday. Yes, tomorrow with day 24 of Checkups with Dr. G, where we will switch gears. So this was my racy subject. Tomorrow we are switching gears and we are going to talk about mental health. Hey, Barry. I'm good. Oh, I should say it in Spanish. Muy bien, gracias. ¿Y tú? See, I've been working on my Spanish a little bit, guys. I don't have enough in my vocabulary to do a video in Spanish yet, but I know a little. Um, but yeah, guys, thank you guys so much for being on. Please go back and watch it. Again, men, I do talk about vaginal health in this video, but I also do talk about sex hygiene. And guys, you can benefit from watching the vaginal health as well, especially if you have a significant other or you're married. It doesn't hurt to look at that part as well. But I will be back tomorrow, day 24, to begin. Oh, Becca asked the question earlier. Do you know what the question was? Trying to go back and see what the question was. I say, I don't know. If I did not answer your question, can you please re-ask it? Because I don't know how far up it was. Or if I already asked your question, please let me know. Yeah, very sorry. Excuse me, I don't like to uh, the difference in discharges. Okay. Yeah, I don't like to sit around uh, just staring at the phone. So I usually get started immediately talking. So bacterial vaginosis is when you'll have more like of a fishy odor. And that one I believe comes with like the grayish discharge, or you might, yeah, it's gonna have like that grayish discharge. Yeast infections usually have like the cottage cheese thick white discharge. Green discharge is gonna be more of a gonorrhea or chlamydial type of discharge. So you want to be, but you'll also, if you're having gonorrhea or chlamydia, you're also going to have other symptoms as well. Sometimes you might have like abdominal pain and those things like that. But you just want to be mindful, because any type of discharge that is not normal, like I said, normal discharge is going to be a clear or a thin white discharge. And sometimes those discharges can dry and end up being like a yellow or darker color. But what you want to be looking out for is when the discharge comes out. Like I said, I believe the grayish one is bacterial vaginosis. Thick white cottage cheese like discharge is going to be more like your yeast infection. And the greenish, yellowish discharges are going to be more signaling like STD, STI type of thing. So please be mindful of that as well. Did I miss anybody else's question? I just want to be sure before I go, because I don't want to leave it open, especially while I'm here live. But yeah, I don't remember what I was saying before that. So again, yeah, thank you guys just for being on here and being supportive. It means a whole lot to me to see you guys here and being active. And Mom, thank you for letting me know that I missed a question because the comments were going, and so I was trying to keep up, but also trying to make sure that I was getting the information out. So I apologize for missing the question. Um, but if there are any other questions, please let me know. I'll wait a couple of minutes because I think the when you guys are typing it in and when I actually see it, it's like a little bit delayed. So I'll wait a few minutes to see if anybody has any other questions. But I don't really see any questions coming in, guys. Um, Thank you. Again, I hope this information helps somebody, at least a little bit. At least a little bit. Oh, I did think of one thing, guys. You want to be careful with STDs and STIs because you don't want to, especially females. Females, you don't want to put yourself at risk for pelvic inflammatory disease. So if you are experiencing symptoms, please go ahead and get checked and get treated as soon as possible. I love you guys too. Thank you so much for being on tonight. It doesn't look like there are any more questions. I'm so glad you learned, Becca. That's so great. Thank you so much. If I can at least help one person, then I feel great. So thank you so much for sharing that. Again, guys, tomorrow, switching gears, we are going to begin our talk on mental health. Today is day 23, and so we have 7 days left of checkups with Dr. G. And thank you guys for taking this journey with me. And it means so much for you guys to be here and supporting me. So I will see you guys tomorrow. Again, if you have any questions and you didn't want to ask them here, please feel free to direct message me on Instagram, Twitter, or Facebook at wholeyouwithg. You can send me an email at wholeyouwithg@gmail.com or drg@wholeyouwithg.com. Also, this video will be posted to my YouTube page. It may give me a couple of days to get it up there because last time I couldn't figure out how to save it. So I will figure it out and I'll have it up on my YouTube page in a couple of days. And my YouTube page is Whole You with Dr. G. So guys, I hope you have an amazing night. Thank you for your support. Thank you for being here. And I will see you guys, or you guys will see me tomorrow for day 24 checkups with Dr. G. Have a great night.